What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Crush City Territory. I'm Chandler Rome, along with Josh Reddick and Tyler Stafford, as the Astros complete a pretty disappointing road trip through Chicago and Milwaukee. They go 2-4, lose a series to what was the worst team in baseball last season in the White Sox, and then go to Milwaukee and lose a series to a bunch of pitchers that I had previously never heard of. It was another kind of offensive letdown for much of this road trip, aside from today in the finale at Milwaukee, where they exploded for 9 runs, Jeremy Pena, with a big 3-run home run that kind of let the entire dugout exhale a little bit. And then a lot of small ball after that, a lot of working walks, contact plays, aggressive base running to scratch the other kind of runs across for them. But the big story coming out of Milwaukee is that Yordan Alvarez is on the injured list with the right hand. Today, Joe Espada made it a little more clear what's going on. There is a muscle strain in the top of Yordan Alvarez's right hand. Josh, as a left-handed hitter yourself, can you explain to the people why a right hand injury is problematic for a left-handed hitter?
Well, that's where you control the bat. The bottom hand pretty much controls everything. And, for us, it's usually your strong hand anyway when you're throwing a baseball. So positive here is it has nothing to do with the hamate bone. The hamate bone gets really sketchy right in, there you go, this area. And that's usually like at least a 6-week, IL stint in rehab. So it's good to hear that it's just a muscle inflammation kind of thing. And hopefully something they can, kind of get died down for 10 days. And, the no swinging will probably help. I don't know. I'm intrigued to see how they fix that, because once that's not sore anymore, how are they going to combat that? To are they going to have to change his bat grip? He's going to have to do something with a different bat handle, different just different width of everything. So it's going to be interesting to see how they come out of this on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and certainly this is something that he has dealt with before. He has had hand ailments in the past. You pointed out where the hamate bone is. You said it's right here, kind of. Yeah. The good thing is that Joe Espada said this is on the top of Alvarez's hand, which is, I guess, a little bit more reassuring. There's not going to be any surgery or anything. And Joe said today they are hopeful that he can be swinging a bat when the Astros get back to Dyken Park on Friday. They're also hopeful that he only needs the requisite 10 days on the IL before he's ready to be activated. Again, this is the Astros talking about medical conditions, so I would take everything with a grain of salt. And they're going to be more cautious with Alvarez than anybody. If he's not ready, they'll give him a couple extra days. As much as this lineup does need I know he hadn't been producing, but they need his presence. They need his left-handed presence as well, because they are so right-handed. But Tyler, who has to step up? Who has to step up in Yordan Alvarez's absence to get this production and get this lineup on track?
Well, we've started to see it from Yainer. He's started hitting a little bit better. I mean, Jose Altuve has been scuffling. We've seen, just some kind of weak hits. We've seen some classic Altuve decisions on the base paths lately. But yeah, I mean, it has to be the guys that you're counting on. It's the same guys that we've been talking about all year. It's got to be, Yainer. It's got to be Diaz. But you can't. Yeah, Walker, obviously. But you can't make up for Yordan on his own, certainly. But all of the guys that we've been talking about all year have to step it up. That's just part of filling the hole that Yordan's going to leave.
Yainer looked better on this trip. Josh, certainly a guy who went 9 for 25 on this trip, and even the outs were hard hit. The at bats, he was fouling pitches off. There were some long at bats where it looked like he was on time. There were some hard hit outs. You worked the White Sox series where he had a few nice showings, and then in Milwaukee had a double today. Do you think he's coming around? Do you think this is a real resurgence, or do you think he just got hot for a couple games? Are you seeing things that could lend themselves to longer term success for Yainer Diaz?
I'm seeing it moving up into the right direction right now. From what I saw in the White Sox series, he was attacking everything out front. He was kind of getting out there and making sure it didn't get too deep on him. But, he was swinging at good pitches. He was swinging at strikes, whether they were throwing him in the zone or not. He was laying off of them. And that's always the big factor for him because he's such a big free swing guy. He can hit on top of baseballs at his nose. He can hit balls at his ankles. But that could also get you in trouble, too, get you the big swing and miss guy. But what I saw, he's moving everything in the right way because he wasn't pulling off the baseball. All his balls had great backspin, no top spin on the balls pulled to left. Nothing was severely slicing on the other way. So everything seems to be working out great for him right now. So this is something that, hopefully he's due to stay hot for a month. And if we can, the Yordan thing is kind of weird because they could use this short rehab stint and let him go get at bats down in the minor leagues, use a rehab assignment for a little bit of benefit, help him get some more reps, kind of getting more comfortable because as we've known, he's been struggling for most of the year. So going down there and kind of taking some pressure off and kind of hit a reset button for him, maybe not, get him 2 or 3 games down there and bring him back up and see where he's at.
I mean, this has got to be something that's been bothering him the whole year, right? I mean, that seems like it would explain a lot of, the lack of power that we've seen because the approach doesn't look different. Again, it's not like he's just flailing at everything all of a sudden, or he's lost the ability to, decipher what pitches are coming. He's hitting balls 370 feet that feel like they are normally 405, and those turn into flyouts instead of doubles and home runs. And it, that would explain a lot of it if he isn't able to follow through as much or get as much power in his swing as he would like to.
True. Has he said where the pain is when is it when he's when it's swinging? Like at what point of his swing is it bothering him? I wonder.
So we haven't gotten to talk to Yordan because he flew back to Houston on Monday to get tests the day they put him on the IL. But Joe Espada said something this week, and this is what I was going to kind of transition to. He said something. It's about when he is starting the swing. It's about when he commits to start the swing, and that's tough because Josh, this. Like, if you're committing to start a swing, like it's not like you can hold it back. It's not like you can check swing and stop it. And that may be, Joe has kind of hinted at, that may be what's led to a little bit of this is he's having to decide earlier than he wants whether he wants to commit to a swing, whether he wants to commit to a pitch. And if the pitch isn't something he can drive, if the pitch isn't something he can handle, he doesn't have a recourse to stop because he doesn't want to feel any more pain. So, I think this is certainly something. And Joe Espada made it very clear that he didn't want to speak for Yordan. He didn't want to put words in his mouth, but he seemed to hint pretty strongly that this is something that is impacted him. And I think he pointed to that Kansas City series where you saw Yordan hit a 435-foot homer in one of those games, hit a very long double in one of those games as well. And then after that kind of went downhill and kind of used that day as kind of the inflection point where everybody was like, oh, that's the real Alvarez. And then they didn't see him for the next handful of games until he had to sit out with the hand. So, I'd be stunned if this didn't have some impact on what was wrong with him and why he hasn't been, producing as much as we know Alvarez can. Josh, you mentioned rehab assignments, and you got me thinking rehab assignments are really kind of not in vogue now. Like, position players don't really go on them much. They'll find different things to do.
Stupid.
Why?
That's stupid. Because you're literally taking 10 or more days off from facing live pitching. So timing can go out the door real quick in that regard. And it's free games. If you're still, at the point of rehabbing, why wouldn't I want to take advantage and go down there and just to see pitches and get some at bats? Like, it makes no sense to even deny it, even for the short minimum stay on a DL. I think that's absolutely asinine. But that's just me. That's my opinion. That's why we're on here talking about it. But if I want to be at the best when I come back, I think that's the best chance to do that.
Maybe they don't want to buy the spreads.
That's it.
Okay.
Don't want to spend $400.
If that's the reason, that's even more stupid because Yordan's making what he could pay for that spread before he steps on a foot on the field in the box. So.
I think he'll be all right. I think he'll do it. I don't doubt Yordan.
I feel like we have to ask this every time. What's the best spread that you bought kids in the minor leagues on a rehab assignment? And what's the best spread that was bought for you when you were in the minor leagues by a big leaguer?
So the best one I can think of that was bought from my team was Mike Cameron way back in 2010 with the Red Sox. We were in Pawtucket. My man brings in like a full steak lobster chef, like right there in the clubhouse, like top notch. Like I couldn't even remember where it was from, but this is the Northeast, so like lobster is going to be 5-star. Steaks are going to be 5-star. Leftover, like everybody had enough for 2 steaks, 2 lobster tails each, and then that wasn't the end of it. Vegetables on the side, like just top notch. Asparagus, grilled asparagus, sweet potatoes. But the ice cream buffet bar was where it was at. My man wheeled in a whole full, like 6-foot-long buffet ice cream bar, and we just went to town that night. My 2 best ones, I'm gonna make it 2 of them because it's a Red Sox, or no, it wasn't Red Sox, but Oakland and Houston, I think. When we were still in Sacramento with Oakland, I bought there was a Joe's Crab Shack like within 2 blocks, so I bought everybody just a big old bucket of Joe's Crab Shack, like the Low Country Boil, the crab legs. That's my favorite food on the planet anyway. So it was more kind of for me, if I can be honest. But everybody crushed it, everybody loved it. And then I think when I was right at the end of rehab, I think I rehabbed like right at the beginning of 15, or it was either 15 or 16. I was hurt both years, so it doesn't really matter. But did the standard, steak, lobster. I think I did like Outback, like everybody loves Outback Steakhouse in those times. But I also brought in the ice cream buffet bar because it had been brought to my attention. So those 2 definitely stand out.
Tyler, you worked for the Hooks. How many do you have any minor league rehab spread stories?
I mean, that was my one of my main jobs. Pretty much my only job was to make sure that we had the spread ready for the media.
Good.
Yes. So it was my job to call 5 or 6 days a week to the one restaurant that was supposed to come on that day and make sure that it showed up. But yeah, I remember, honestly, I just remember how much peanut butter and jelly minor leaguers were eating. Like that's all they had. Literally, however much you think that they were eating, it was triple that amount of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. That's all they had every day, because the clubhouse attendants pay for it themselves, and then you like owe dues to the visiting clubhouse and the home clubhouse, and then you tip or whatever. But
so you were back there a long time ago, because dues are covered now. They make more money.
This was 2015, now. But I just remember thinking, like, why would a team not spend like $250,000 and just feed the players that are coming through? So I'm glad they're doing it now,
because they don't care.
It seemed very strange, especially on the team that I was with, where it was like all of the Astros best prospects. I mean, we've talked about it a million times, but it was Hader and McCullers and Correa and Teoscar Hernandez and all these guys who are like you're counting on being really, I mean, half of them played for the Astros that year in 2015, and they're just crushing PB&J all season long. So
and loving it too.
Yeah,
loving it
exactly.
every day.
Now that we've got you all very hungry, let's go hear from our friends at Foul Territory before we come back and talk about a decision that is looming and that is coming very quick for the Astros. But first, a message from our friends at Foul Territory.
FT fan, by now, if you're buying, selling, trading, collecting cards, Arena Club is the spot. We've been talking about them all season long, but I do want to focus on the slab pack experience, Kratz, since you've been ripping some slab packs digitally. And what happens?
I mean, as a kid, you wanted to rip open the packs. How can they do this digitally? Oh, baby. This is exciting. How the graphics come out and everything. And, oh, yeah, the card that you pull, you can actually get that, John, physically. So it's perfect. It's all in one place, and it's a super exciting experience.
Yeah, they send that to you from the vault if you want it. But if you look at it and you're like, it's not the card for me, I want to sell back, go for it. You can do any of that on Arena Club, and you can acquire the best value for your money with those slab packs, transparent checklists, and Arena Club's Slab Safe program. Right now, you can get 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/foul and use code FOUL. arenaclub.com/foul, use code FOUL.
All right. Who knows what an advanced consent clause is?
Can't help you there.
Is it pretty self-explanatory?
I think that's like Christmas gifts. You have to agree that Santa can come down the chimney. Is that what it is?
Sure. I think it's what Derek.
Guess.
I think it's what Derek Jeter had in his living room every time he brought
baskets.
Every time he brought a woman home.
I heard that rumor wasn't true, by the way, through the grapevine.
Mm,
Ooh,
okay.
Interesting.
Come on the pod to discuss, Derek.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, can we get DJ?
Yeah, I'll send him a text.
Mhm.
I'll add him to the group. I'll add him to the group text.
Thank you.
Brendan Rodgers knows what an advanced consent clause is because the Astros made him sign one before they put him on the major league roster to start the season. Basically, what an advanced consent clause is it gives a team 45 days from opening day to either send a player to the minor leagues or release them and terminate their contract without being responsible for the rest of the money. Brendan Rodgers, because he has more than 5 years of big league service time, can't be optioned without his consent. 45 days from opening day is Saturday, which means that the Astros have a decision to make on whether they want to keep Brendan Rodgers on their major league roster. From what I understand, that decision has not been made. That decision is still up in the air. There's still discussions about whether they want him, whether they don't. That is a main reason why he's playing a lot. I believe he has started 20 of their first 36 games at second base. Both of you guys have obviously watched him play a good bit to start this season. What do you guys think the Astros should do here? Do you think Brendan Rodgers is a guy that the Astros should keep? Do you think he's a guy that could help them long term throughout the season?
So what are the consequences if they keep him? If they wanted to.
I mean, he's just a normal player. Like
Okay.
they keep him and
They keep everything
him
stays the same. He gets making the same money and just stays on the roster until after that. And then if they have to happen to DFA or release him, then he still gets paid after that.
What is he making this year?
7?
No, he's not making
Chandler,
7.
what's he making this year, Chandler?
Oh, he got scared. He froze on us. He's
Chandler
so
froze
nervous.
up on us. Let's I'll go to the Google.
What is Brendan Rodgers making this year?
$2 million.
Yeah. Okay.
And that would be the whole thing here. The Astros are being conscious of the luxury tax threshold. If you believe the outside approximations, they're about $4.8 to $5 million under the first luxury tax because they traded Rafael Montero to the Braves and got rid of some of his salary. That allows them to be a little more under the tax than normal. Really, to me, this is a financial decision because they have no one in their system. They have no one internally. They have no one that is clamoring to be called up. They have no replacement that can really, do a lot of stuff to help. So to me, this is do they want to get further under the tax? Because look, Brendan Rodgers isn't going to determine the fate of the season. He's not some stalwart that if they cut him, then the season's over. He's not that big of a difference maker, but to me, they don't have anyone that screams like, we got to release this guy to create a roster spot for him.
Yeah, and him being able to play second as often as he does frees up Dubon to give people breaks at other positions, right? If you don't have another second baseman, Dubon is your everyday second baseman, other than the one-off days that Altuve plays second, but you don't give yourself the opportunity to kind of give breaks to other players. So that's obviously the majority of the value that it brings, other than an occasional 3-run homer that keeps you in the game. But yeah, I mean, like you said, what else are you going to do? I think to me, it's not like he's done anything bad enough to say we can't carry this guy for $1.5 million or whatever else he's owed for the rest of the year.
I think it becomes of who's your more valuable piece of 3 players. Between him, obviously, you got to keep him and Dubon. I think both have to stay because of positional awareness. I think it falls to Chas McCormick. I mean, Chaz is not playing as much. I mean, he's probably playing the least amount of anybody on that roster since opening day. He gets, the day game getaway days, the tougher ones that usually get thrown out there to those guys. I just think right now Brendan Rodgers offers more to the table than Chas McCormick does because of Jake Meyer's surgence. He's starting to rake a little bit. You're obviously not getting rid of Altuve in the outfield, and your right fielder and Cam Smith seems to be pretty set in stone right now. And even Zach DeZenzo's starting to swing it a pretty good bit. So I think it all falls to your odd man out with Chas because, I mean, I'm not sure what is he still eligible? He's promoted. No, Jesus, spit it out. Does he have options left?
He
Or is
does. He does.
So there you go. He becomes a free option. That's a free option that he can't deny. And then, and obviously he's going to help him out to go down there and get some at bats and work on some stuff. So if I'm looking at it from a business and a value standpoint, I'm looking at keeping both Brendan Rodgers, both Dubon, and Chaz is unfortunately the odd man out.
It would look incredibly cheap if the Astros release Brendan Rodgers over $1.3 million. You can't call yourself a championship contending club if you're trying to make decisions over $1.3 million. Like if this becomes a fiscal decision, a decision that is based on money, then that would be so short-sighted. Now, you look at Brendan Rodgers and what he's done. He's got a 619 OPS. He's struck out 27 times in 71 at bats. I'm not trying to sit here and say he's been a difference maker offensively, but what the Astros have asked him to do, they've made a lot of adjustments with him to widen his stance and to lower his hands in hopes he can elevate the ball more. He's cut his ground ball rate by almost 20%. His line drive rate is up by about 15%. He's hitting the ball harder than he has ever hit it in his life, in his major league career, and his bat speed is up by 3 miles an hour. Everything peripherally looks like he's on the right track. Like he is implementing every change and they are seeing results. You look at the expected stats. The expected stats are a lot higher than the actual stats. But again, like you're in a situation where peripherals can only mean so much. Like this lineup is struggling to score runs. They need guys that are going to produce. So it is one of those things that I think, and Troy Snicker, the hitting coach this week, said it best. Like if we play this out over the course of a full season, like this really has a chance to turn around and it really has a chance to be something that they've really unearthed. And it'll be up to the Astros to see. They have until Saturday to make the decision. And it's not going to be one of these things where they make some grand announcement. I mean, if we get to the ballpark Saturday and Brendan Rodgers is in the clubhouse, then you'll know that they just said, you're good. We'll keep you. But if we get an announcement that says otherwise, then you'll know. But again, I'm full. This is my opinion totally that if they cut him over money, that would be a really short-sighted move and really optically would play awfully. If you're cutting a guy because you don't want to pay him $1.3 to $1.6 million and you're that concerned about the luxury tax.
And we wouldn't be surprised by it one bit if they pulled that move out of there. You know what?
No,
because that's what they do.
And it's why Ryan Presley's not here. It's why Kyle Tucker's not here. It's Rafael Montero's gone for many reasons, but money being foremost among them.
As far as we know, that's why Kyle Tucker's not here anymore. As far as we know. I still believe there's insider information that we have no idea about, but we won't go down that road.
Come on, big dog. Go do some reporting. Come back to us.
I don't work for a month, so I have to put that on the back burner and get it in there.
We're going to talk about someone making more than $2 million, but hitting a lot better than Brendan Rodgers right after a message from our friends at Foul Territory.
FT fam, we're excited to introduce you to Rhoback with the subtle dog logo and 2 stripes on the back of every product. Kratz, what are you rocking for us?
I'm rocking the polo, which never feel like a t-shirt until now. Out on the course, I'm going to stay cool, and as much as I sweat, I won't be wet.
Use the code FOUL on Rhoback.com for a generous 20% off your first purchase. That's FOUL on RHOBACK.com. 20% off all shirts, hoodies, polos, and more with the code FOUL.
I like free golf shirts.
Kratz had way too much.
Come on.
Kratz had way too much fun saying, I may sweat, but I won't be wet.
Very well put together. That definitely was not written out for him.
So remember like 10 days ago when Jose Altuve asked to not hit leadoff anymore?
Mm-hmm.
The guy that replaced him is doing pretty well. Jeremy Pena has really taken to this leadoff spot. He is since in the 10 games since Altuve kind of went to Joe and said he wanted to hit second. Pena has a 936 OPS. He hit a first pitch fastball today for a 3-run homer. It really looks like the leadoff spot suits him. And I mean, this is, we've been waiting for forever for a Jeremy Pena kind of offensive breakout since 2022 when he was, when he won everything in 2022 as a rookie. He's now got a 426 slugging percentage. He's up to a 774 OPS. I mean, he looks like a guy that if he can keep this up, Tyler, he is on the precipice of a breakout.
Yeah, we've always talked about it that, you know, he's got the strength to do it, I assume. I mean, those arms have to carry strength. I don't know what else would be in there, but you know, he's got the strength to do it. He's crazy fast. I feel like that snuck up on me this year. I mean, I know he's always been fast, but part of it in my mind is just like, oh, he's young. And so
Well,
like everyone
He's
young,
barely slower than Bobby, like barely slower
dude,
than
he's
Bobby Witt.
so fast.
Barely.
Yeah.
I'm talking about how fast Bobby Witt Jr. Like we talk about, like I'm sorry I cut you off, but like Bobby Witt's like super fast. Like you don't even hear guys like, remember how like fast guys like Miles Straw used to be.
Mhm.
Like he's not even in the top 10 anymore. And you look at like a guy like Pena, and even Cam Smith are like blowing by these guys.
Yep.
well,
All right,
part of Peña's speed sneaking up on you is that he never got on base the last 2 or 3 years. So that's been he's never like, and that's been the problem is he's always been this fast, and that's what has kind of not angered the Astros, but the Astros have just kind of been like, man, if we can get this guy up to a 320 on base percentage and we can show it. He's at 340 now. So he's getting on base. And even if this whole lineup's all they're doing is hitting singles, but when he hits a single, he can pretty easily steal second, go first to third on a lot of stuff. You know, this is a guy that he can really be a key to giving this lineup a dynamic that it just does, that we thought coming into the season it wouldn't have after Tucker and Bregman left.
Yeah, he's been really good. And you know, a lot of it is, like we said, it's the potential that's been there. But he's made a couple adjustments this year, and has looked really, really good.
I've talked about it many times. He doesn't seem to be chasing that slider that's out of the zone as often as he used to. I mean, he still does it occasionally, which everybody does. So, but I think he's just better pitch selection. And we always talk about these things and how it's crazy how like simple things can be that make you struggle to turn you around as well. I'm not saying that the game's easy, but like it's always the smallest bit of pieces that always kind of get you out of your funk, so to speak. Because as baseball players, one thing always connects. One thing goes wrong, everything else seems to fall out of place. But man, he's not only getting on base, but he's driving in runs. He's hitting the bottom of the ballpark. So he's becoming a full-on well-rounded leadoff hitter.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up about he seems like he's chasing less, and is hitting the ball harder, because I have some news for you. And Chandler, I'm going to attempt to present here. We're gonna see what happens. Open. Okay.
For
Maybe
everyone,
not.
for everyone watching on YouTube, Tyler's trying to do Tyler's trying to do
humongous
technology.
mistake.
I will attempt to do it too, Tyler. Why don't you just start talking about what you want to
Okay,
talk
you do it, because it's already upset with me that I want to do it. But pull up Baseball Savant for me.
There you
link
go.
that I
All
sent you. Thank you.
Boom.
Where
All
do you want
right.
me to go?
So scroll up to the top for me.
Okay.
So I want us to pay attention to the first off on that top left-hand corner, which is pitch percentage. So if you're watching on YouTube, this is a breakdown of, out of 100% of pitches, where are they the most to Pena? And if you notice, it is a humongous percentage down and away. Obviously, that's true of almost every right-handed batter. Like, pitch percentage is going to be there. Chandler, if you'll quickly scroll through like the other years there, so click on 2025. I want everybody to pay attention to the pitch percentage of just what he's being faced with. So click on 2025 right there and go to like 2022.
You want to do 2022?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hit me those. Okay, look, same thing. 28, 29%, give me 23. Same thing,
Yeah.
right? So it's
Yep.
about the same amount of pitches there every year.
Yeah.
Now, if you'll go back to this year, we're going to go 2 over to where it says swing percent by zone. Okay, so this is basically if a pitch is in that zone, how often is he swinging? If you'll notice, down and away, we're at 33%. Scroll through the other years, Chandler, and we will see 41%, 40%, 30. Right. So he's getting the exact same amount of pitches down and away as ever, but he is swinging at them almost 10 points less than he has been. Right. So that is, like you said, it's a decision thing. And then, obviously that allows him to make better contact on pitches that force the pitchers to come back in the zone. But the other thing that has been really interesting to me watching it, and I this was just kind of anecdotal to me until I also found on Savant. This is actually cool, Chandler. Pull that back up, and I'll show you another thing. Baseball Savant is awesome, by the way. If you're listening to this podcast, go click around on Baseball Savant. It's super fun. Scroll up and click on that bat tracking right there for me. All right, scroll down to this bat speed distribution. So his average bat speed has been roughly the same throughout his career, but I want you to take a look at the consistency that we've seen this year. So if you'll hover over that 2025, if you just kind of put your mouse there, you'll see it's pretty standard. Like he's swinging about the same amount every time. We're not seeing huge outliers where he's swinging a lot softer or a lot harder, which I think has been the problem with Pena. If you look at the other years, the distribution is drastically different. Even though the average is the same, you saw him take a ton of swings where it looked like he was trying to just rip the cover off the ball. And you really don't see that this year. He's doing a lot better job of staying within himself and making that better solid contact as opposed to just swinging, like crazy. And so I think that, coupled with laying off those pitches out of the zone, that's the change that we've been talking about, where it's like he's always had the skills. It's just kind of the other stuff around it. And that's really what we've seen that's led to the success for Pena this year.
Yeah, that's him growing as a player, getting older, getting smarter, and just being more adapted to this league. And that seems to be a trend that some people figure out. Not a lot can figure that out. So it's good to see that he's doing better at the peaks and not the valleys. And when you're talking about that bat velocity and swing speed, so.
Yeah, it seems like everyone is pigeonholed, like fixing Pena into being like, don't swing at sliders. I'm here to tell you that like every right-handed hitter in baseball is going to see sliders, and every right-handed hitter in baseball is probably going to swing at them. They're going to swing it. If a pitcher has a good slider, like every good right-handed hitter in baseball is probably going to swing and miss at it occasionally. It's about seeing it out of hand, seeing early, like they're not going to stop throwing him sliders, and Jeremy Pena every now and then is going to strike out on sliders. It's just part of it, but it's more about knowing which sliders to lay off, which sliders he can put the barrel on, which sliders he can even make contact with and put in play. Because as we just talked about, he's so fast that if he puts the ball in play and he books it down the line, he has a good shot of beating it out. So again, like it's much more nuanced than just he needs to stop swinging at sliders or he needs to lay off every slider thrown. And that's not really the case. If you can see out of hand that the spin's not great and it's going to stay in the strike zone, like go ahead. So that's always kind of bothered me a little bit, that's been the mainstream observers thought is just like, oh, like he can't hit sliders, he shouldn't hit sliders, stop swinging at sliders. Well, that's impossible. Like no right-handed hitter is going to just stop swinging at sliders or be good at hitting them all the time. So
we'll flip it around too. Like that'd be like saying a pitcher can't get guys out with a fastball, so we're just going to get rid of his fastball.
Right.
Like, think about how silly and dumb that sounds if you're listening.
Yeah. No, and it does.
We're talking to you. How dare you?
I'll call you out. Tweet me, X me, whatever. I don't care.
Josh, you want to rewrite Joe Espada's batting order real quick?
Like if I'm managing tomorrow, you want me to give the lineup for this team?
Well, real quick, this is why we're doing it.
Okay.
Told you before the show. The most mind-blowing stat of this entire difficult offensive stretch for me. The Astros have 5 extra base hits from the cleanup spot all season. I can't even fathom that. They have 5 RBIs from the cleanup spot all season.
Even worse.
That's obviously the fewest in baseball. The next fewest is 12 by the Rangers, who fired their offensive coordinator over the week. It's easy to just paint this as a Christian Walker problem. And I mean, the stats kind of bear it out because Christian Walker has started 25 times in the cleanup spot this year. So he is responsible for most of this malaise. But Joe Espada, before Yordan Alvarez went on the IL, Joe Espada had settled on Isaac Paredes as the cleanup hitter. He had moved After moving Pena to the leadoff spot, Altuve was hitting second, Yordan was hitting third, Paredes was hitting fourth. So they had it set up to where it wasn't going to be like this. But now that Alvarez is out, he kind of has no choice. But Josh, he doesn't. Write Joe Espada's lineup for him without Yordan Alvarez.
Okay. Pena, Altuve, Isak, Yiner, Caratini, Christian Walker, Cam Smith, Dubon or Rodgers, and Jake Myers.
I like it.
So you're off the
Can't
Cam
take
Smith.
Jake-
You're off the
you
Cam
can't
Smith
take-
train.
No, he said
I
Cam
s-
Smith.
I
Did you
said
say
Cam
Cam?
Smith hitting
Oh, you
Yeah,
second.
said Cam?
come on.
Yeah, okay.
Look at him. He wrote it down.
Oh, well, okay. Never mind.
Yeah, no. So I like as much as Jake Myers is hot, I like him in the 9-hole, regardless of how hot he is, because he gets on base and really helps that front of the lineup. So, yeah.
Did you know
I'm
Cam
all, I'm,
Smith
all
and
for, I'm all for dropping Christian Walker for now.
Cam Smith and Jose Altuve have the same OPS plus? Isn't that weird? It doesn't feel like that, but
No, it
because Cam Smith's hit for a lot more power, it's weird. But they also have the exact same on base percentage, 302. But yeah, Cam Smith's just been hitting for a little bit more power. There you go.
It's even more. It's even more funny. You said, was it Pena that had like a 772 OPS?
Yeah. He's got Jeremy Pena at this moment has a 774 OPS.
Aaron Judge has a slugging percentage of 774 right now.
Yeah,
he's
really good.
He's a freak.
I only said that because I saw that number on like X like 20 minutes ago. So
he's a freak.
Yankees should have traded him before his last year at Team Control, though. Maybe that would have worked out for them.
Astros should have reached out to him. Could have deferred all his money and had that.
When I was talking about the Rangers having only 12 RBIs from their cleanup spot, and I mentioned that they fired their offensive coordinator, that's what his title was. It got me to just Josh.
Wait, time out. They call it an offensive coordinator now?
Yes, that's what they called this guy. His name was Donnie Ecker. He was their offensive coordinator on the World Series team in 23. But apparently he forgot how to coordinate offense from 2023 to 2025. Did you see who they hired to replace him?
Brett Boone.
Literally out of nowhere. Like Brett Boone was very open in saying, like, I wasn't looking for this. Like they called me out of literally out of left field, and I just said yes. I'm not trying to dismiss like what Brett Boone can bring to a dugout. I'm not trying to dismiss Brett Boone's expertise. He played in the big leagues for like 15 years, like was a really good hitter. Josh, what does that say about like the role of a hitting coach if like they grabbed this guy literally who was doing a podcast 3 days ago and now have him in uniform and he's now the quote unquote offensive coordinator of a team that thinks it can win the division? Like
Panic.
Yeah.
Panic. I mean, that's literally all that is. I mean, I didn't even know who Donnie Ecker was. Did he even play?
I don't believe so.
I don't think.
I can look at
it. It doesn't even say anything about playing career. So no. So yeah, there's that. I mean, that's a state of pure panic, and and not that I'm going to defend the Donnie guy. I mean, that's obviously not. He's not like we talked about. He's not the guy going up to the plate. He's not the guy swinging the bat. But I mean, it's got to fall on somebody, and I guess that's their way of having it be a fall guy for them. But who knows? Maybe he changed his approach of offensive coordinating, of not getting them the right iPad or the right pieces of paper in today's game. So I mean, I just think because they're struggling, there's got to be a fall guy, and they're not going to blame their players.
At what point are hitting coaches? Because obviously, as you're learning the game and as you're growing and getting better, before you get to the major leagues, I would imagine those coaches are extremely valuable. I like just teaching you drills and teaching you, all kinds of things growing throughout your process in the game. At what point did you feel like, okay, this is on me solely now, as opposed to if I'm trying to improve, do I go to my coach and ask questions?
Oh, as early as possible. I mean, if you feel any kind of wrong and you're off, that's what they're there for. I mean, I think I've mentioned it on here before, but I've always made the joke about hitting coaches being, for the most part, glorified cheerleaders. And I always gave Chili Davis a hard time about that because I said, other than your job, Chili, you flip to us, you talk to us about the pitcher, and what do you do during the game? You pump us up and make us feel confident. That's a simple way of breaking it down. How I looked at it. Obviously, it's way more when you look into the in depth of it. But I can go tell you, like a guy like Brett Boone. I had Brett Boone in Oakland as I think he was one of our Rovers, which is for those that don't know, he's like our minor league staff. So he travels to all the minor league levels and kind of coordinates overall whatever he's working with. He's an infield coordinator, but I can't remember what he was. But he was on a trip when I was on a rehab assignment, and I actually yelled at him because I was just having an awful rehab experience, like just striking out in high A, like at a very high rate. And Booney just walks up to me or horrible time and goes, "Red, next time you get that slider, why don't you just take that thing over the left field fence?" And it was just horrible time. I was like, "Booney, I didn't get to take the stuff you guys got to take. I can't do that." And I just walked away. So I go ahead and tell you, Booney's not going to be an analytic guy in today's baseball. He's going to go out there and get on your butt as much as he can and be a hard ASS as much as he can on these guys. So I doubt he even looks at a computer when these guys want him to.
I think the way the Rangers were spinning it, and I think that there's a parallel here to be drawn to the Astros and their two hitting coaches, because the way the Rangers were spinning it was that they needed maybe a little more like real world playing perspective in the dugout. Like we said, Donnie Ecker never played. I don't think any of their other hitting coaches have a ton of substantial playing experience, but they needed that guy that's been through it. They needed that guy that's been through a slump, that's been demoted, that's been in tough situations in his career. It should be noted that the Astros have this. Like Alex Centrone is like that. He is that perfect profile of a guy that, he was a utility guy for a while in the big leagues, was never really a standout player, but played a while in the big leagues, played enough to have some hot streaks, to have some slumps. Like they've got him alongside Troy Snitker, a guy that's very analytical, that's very kind of muscle memory, like how the body moves. So they have got that balance in the dugout right now. It's not as if, the Astros have a bunch of guys with iPads running around, telling guy, "Oh, your elbow was 3 degrees too low. So bring up your elbow and then you'll hit this slider out." Like they've got a little more balance in there than I think maybe fans understand or want to give them credit for.
Oh, without a doubt. I always tell fans that talk about that kind of thing. The thing is, the Astros have 2 cages downstairs. They've got Cintron in one, they've got Snit in the other, which is pretty standard, but you just nailed it. They've got your analytical guy over here, and then you've got the guy who's going to be your old school baseball guy over here. And they've got a great balance of how they work, because you got your splits within your guys. Your hitting guys are going to be way more I know it's a sensitive subject. Let's look at a guy like Alex Bregman, just because I know how analytical and in the numbers he is as a player. And then you go to somebody like, myself and Michael Brantley, 2 guys who had no business talking about analytics because we weren't brought up with that. And if you tried, we'd probably be confused like the kid in the new school. So it probably didn't help us a lot. But it's always good to have those guys, because you can have a guy like my guy. One of my favorites was Darren Bush, and I can't remember if he's with the A's or not anymore. But he and I got along so great because it wasn't about analytics. It wasn't about numbers. It was keeping it simple and telling me what was going wrong instead of breaking everything down. I remember from this day a game where I was struggling in 2016. And it was a pitcher that I had no business struggling against. I couldn't see him. And I just went up to him. I go, "Bushy," I said, "I feel like I'm pulling off the ball, front hip's opening, and I'm just not getting anything behind it." He goes, "Yeah, Red, stop doing that," and walked off. And I was like, "Bam,
All right.
that's all I need to know. That's all I need to know. I got confirmation of what I was doing wrong, and I don't need to spend 20 minutes talking about it." So there's just guys that simplify things and keep it, basic. And then there's guys like, a Bregman who's going to break down every angle he can. He wants a top angle, he wants a front angle, he wants a back angle, he wants the pitcher's angle. So he just wants to look at everything and cover his bases.
And as long as we're going on about hitting coaches, should be noted too, Alex Bregman has his own personal hitting coach, Jason Columbus, who
has had him
forever.
Years.
Travels on the road with him.
On the field every day
on the field every day, road and home, on the field every day. That's not uncommon. And that's why the simplistic take of when the Astros scored 1 run in 20 innings and it's fire Centrone, fire Snitker, there is so many more layers to this than I think a lot of people understand as to who is in certain players' ears, how certain players use coaching, whether certain players even use coaching at all, whether players use coaching that is in the organization. Like, it is such a narrow-minded thing to just zero in on the hitting coaches. And I said we weren't going to go there, but I kind of had to after these these first 2 games in Milwaukee kind of reached a fever pitch of fans being very upset. And we're only 36 games into the season, so it can only go downhill from here. When it does, you can listen to Crush City Territory, hopefully for some more rational takes and rational thoughts on the Astros, who are now back to 500. We'll go home and see Josh Reddick's favorite manager, Tito Francona, and the Cincinnati Reds this weekend at Daikin Park before welcoming the Royals in. Ellie De La Cruz plays for the Reds. He's very exciting. Bobby Witt Jr. plays for the Royals, also very exciting. So if you can get out to Daikin Park, really, really would encourage you to go watch both of those players. And hey, maybe watch some players on the Astros. Maybe Brendan Rodgers.
And maybe you'll be the reason they score 10 runs that night.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you. It'll be all because of you, not because of the hitting coaches, not because of anyone else. It'll be because you were at Daikin Park to watch the Astros play the Reds and the Royals. If you can't make it, you can tune into Crush City Territory. We will analyze, recap, give you everything about what goes on there. You can follow me on X at Chandler_Rome, Josh Reddick at JRedDubDeuce, at Tyler C. Stafford to follow Tyler Stafford on X. And you can always rate and review Crush City Territory on Apple. Subscribe on YouTube so you can get alerted whenever we post a new video. And we will talk to you guys soon. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
See ya.